This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion.
Let me get this straight. Some of you use fundamentals to invest and trade. You use, quote, news. You get Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg. You read this stuff. Perhaps you pay for some analysis. Perhaps you have a Bloomberg terminal. The headlines, the articles. Maybe you read 100 of them. And somehow or another, after you read all these articles, you condense these articles down to something. What do you condense the articles down to take action? Well, you don't. It's all bullshit. You know that, but you still do it. So you get these 100 articles, and then you're going to make investing decisions. Where's the laugh track? Who's laughing? It's impossible. Nobody makes sound investing decisions, sound trading decisions by reading news, by using fundamentals. For example, China, mainland China. They love the idea of trend following. They love the idea of technical analysis. Now, I'm sure all kinds of not useful technical analysis is sold in mainland China, as it is sold around the world with all kinds of patterns and squiggly lines and chart reading and all this crap that is not trend following. But the Chinese are quite wise. They realize that messaging from news is not useful. It's not to be trusted. That doesn't necessarily mean they have huge disagreements with their government or anything. They just know that news is not something to be trusted. And if you can't trust it, and you've only got a limited supply of money in your pockets, and you want to make investing decisions, you need something that is not bullshit. And news, as I'm pointing out, the Chinese see, is just not useful. Let me give an example. It will sound political, but that's just because that's where we are today. Everything's political. But what's interesting is the perspective. What's interesting is the power levers being pulled, which, if you're paying attention, is why you can't trust news and fundamentals. What I'm looking at is a tweet from a China government official. I don't know if this is on Twitter or whatnot, but it says protests and demonstrations in Hong Kong are referred to as human rights movements. But in Canada, they are a threat to democracy. Such blatant double standards are unacceptable. Of course they're unacceptable. But that's the West right now. The West lives in a fantasy land of nonstop propaganda, nonstop hypocrisy, nonstop hypochondria, nonstop fear. Again, how are you using all that information to make investing decisions? Like, explain it to me. You sit down in your underwear, you turn on CNN, you turn on MSNBC, you turn on Fox, and you take in a intravenous dose of nonstop fear. And then what? Whichever piece of fear makes you shit your pants the fastest does what? I'm tuned into MSNBC. I shit my pants the fastest. What do? Do I sell? Do I buy? What do I do? Now, you might think this is funny. I mean, it's sad. It is funny, but it's true. All of this news, all of this financial news, all of this political news, which ultimately ends up affecting financial decisions. What do you think? All of this out there that people aren't paying attention? Of course they are. They're watching by the millions, if not billions. And they are actually using their hard-earned money to invest and trade with this information. Now, you might be saying to yourself, hey, smart-ass Mike, what do you propose to do? Well, smart-ass Mike has written 6 books and tells you exactly what to do. What can you trust? You can trust the price. At least at this moment in time in history, you can trust the price. Now, can I imagine, and I hinted at this in my last episode, can I imagine a situation where they fuck with the price? Where the price isn't real anymore? Maybe there's multiple prices. Some people get access to one price, other people get access to another price. Can I envision that? 100% sure. But as of right now, at this moment, you can believe in the price that's traded. That's something that you can analyze. That's something that you can use to make decisions. It's there, it's real. Now, here's the funky part, the trend following part. If you use price to make decisions, you're really not doing anything that's involved with economics or finance or looking at the economy or whatever, crop reports, OPEC. You're just trading numbers. You are simply trading numbers. Because look, if all you're looking at is the price, why do you care if you're trading gold or Bitcoin or Apple or corn or soybeans? Why do you care? So being a trend following trader is a clever way to take all of this information out there, the news system, the news industrial complex that we all live in the middle of, which has surely caused a significant number of people to be brainwashed. Literally, Jim Jones, Guyana style, give me the fucking Kool-Aid, I'm ready to get drunk and die, brainwashing. 100%, we all know people that have lost their fucking marbles from news. Let me calm for a second. That's where the price comes into play. The price ain't screaming at you. The price ain't doing anything except sitting there. And the price still exists in a world of merit, meritocracy. Meaning you can take that price and you can do something with it. You don't need permission. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing. No one's really looking over your shoulder yet. But if you live in a liberal Western democracy, sure looks like that's coming. But that's a fantastic feeling. I've said this many times. It's the desert island approach. Imagine yourself somewhere in the South Pacific. You ain't anywhere close to anywhere, 1,000 miles from the nearest sandbar. It's just you and your laptop. Hell, you don't even have a laptop. You got some funky old school system where all you get is a digit that tells you the number of the market you're trading. So you're trading 10 markets. You're on the desert island. Each of these markets, you don't even know the name. You just know it's called 1, the other one's called 2, the other one's called 3. And each day you get a closing price for your 10 markets that are named by numbers. Can you trade that data? Can you trade that data? That's it. Isn't that a cool way to think? No more bullshit. No more cocktail parties with your moronic neighbor who thinks he knows what he's doing, who's now day trading, using 5-minute bars, and Fibonacci or whatever is the proper pronunciation of one of the most useless pieces of strategy ever devised to scam everybody. There's more. I mean, Elliott Wave, Gann. There's all kinds of these things that people love to buy books about. And hell, ever since I started, I mean, I investigated this stuff early on. And then you quickly find out it's all, shit. All these years later, it's still out there. It's a cottage industry. But price is special. Price allows you to be on that desert island and do your thing and not pay attention to the cacophony of nonsense. I gave the example with the China official pointing out the hypocrisy earlier. Let me give another example. This is a New York Times tweet from the middle of 2021. And the tweet says this: as India's prime minister struggles to quell the months of protests by farmers, critics and analysts see a pattern of curtailing free speech that they fear is sending India down a dangerous path of intolerance. Okay, in the abstract, most people probably hear that and say to themselves, well, if it's true, that tweet sounds all right to me. We don't want to hear about any government in any country restricting speech. Now, of course, it happens. It's starting to happen in every country. But okay, fair enough. Middle of 2021, New York Times tweet. New York Times, the New York fucking Times says that India is cracking down on speech. Now roll forward, February 2022. New York Times. I'm quoting their tweet. As protests stretch on in Canada and truckers block supply chains with the U.S., some Canadians are asking, why hasn't Prime Minister Justin Trudeau ordered the authorities to quash the demonstrators? And you want to believe news. Literally, the same newspaper. In India, they're quashing speech. In Canada, we need to quash them. Why would you ever pay attention to any news organization? They don't get a second try. They don't get a second bite at the apple. The moment you catch somebody giving you information that has been rigged, scammed, and set up in a propaganda form for some type of agenda, if you continue to trust that, you deserve to lose every fucking penny you have. Back to the price. You see, if you trust the price to trade, you don't have to get upset and say, oh my gosh, look what they're saying about India. Oh my gosh, they're saying something different about Canada. Why are they doing this? What's their agenda? Well, who cares? They've clearly got one. And it's not your agenda, that's for sure. You're not on the team. Let me repeat that. You are not on the team of a major newspaper that is exposing themselves to outright hypocrisy, double standards. All those two tweets from the New York Times say is what I'm saying in this podcast. You can't trust the fundamentals. You can't trust news. If you think you can, you're brain damaged, you're mentally unbalanced, you're deranged. Is there anything else left? Yes, you need a frontal lobotomy. You're a fool. I get worked up with these things. But it's funny. When I turn it off, I don't stay locked in this stuff. Doing the podcast is cathartic. It's fun. But I don't live this stuff. I look at it and I try and give other people some wisdom to think about, food for thought to think about. And everyone knows I'm right. I'm not right because I'm the smartest guy in the room. No. But everyone knows I'm right. Sometimes we have allowed ourselves to get conditioned to where we avoid saying the truth. We self-censor ourselves. I've been guilty of this myself. And maybe I even do it on this podcast. Maybe I would even be more hardcore than I am if not for the hammer coming down. Western democracies have said loud and clear, we're coming for your money. We want your money. And if you play wrong, we'll take your money. Now, as a side tangent, I've had these debates and these conversations over the years, and I've seen a lot of smart people say this. They talk about the universal basic income. So if people are too inept, too lazy, too stupid to buckle down, learn, and earn, then we will just give them a universal basic income. So these people, they're not even looking at the price. They're not trading. They're just bumps on a log, waiting for the government to give them their next meal ticket. There's a lot of people like that. I'm not one of them. You're probably not one of them. Most of the people listening are not one of them. But we probably all know somebody who's been pumping this UBI, universal basic income. And I don't know, maybe I've even thought about it in the past for those people that literally can't take care of themselves. Because then if you don't give them some money, then they're ruining society in some other way. You're probably seeing where I'm going here. this wonderful idea of a UBI, a universal basic income. How does that fit with Mr. Trudeau up in Canada? Because he's showing us how this game's going to unfold. Look ahead a few years. You're one of these people. You don't trade. You don't invest. You don't even know what trend following is. You could care less about debates about whether or not the New York Times is duplicitous. You don't give a shit. But you want that free fucking money. You want that fucking UBI. And you will take that money. But they've just introduced a wrinkle into the game. What's the wrinkle? You take the UBI and you have to behave, boy. You have to sit there and you have to play by the rules that they make for you. And if you don't play by the rules, they take your UBI away. UBI is a slave system. And if you screw up, they'll bring the hammer down on you. And guess what? The money will probably be only approved to work at certain places. So you get the UBI, you say something bad, you put a tweet out where you criticize your leader, your UBI doesn't work for a day. Maybe it'll be just like Facebook. You have the UBI, you do something bad, they suspend you. Your money doesn't work. And then as you're coming off suspension, they allow your money to work only at 7-Eleven. So you can buy fucking burritos and Budweiser. You guys might be laughing. This is going to be life. This is what they're doing. Back to trend following, back to price. That UBI story, what's nice about that also, the people that would be engaged in that, the people that would allow themselves to be in that world, that's one of the reasons trend following wins. Trend following is a zero-sum game. You need the herd doing dumb stuff to push the markets in a certain way to give trend following traders gains. See, this whole world of investing and politics and censorship and news media, it's all tied together. The question for you is, where are you sitting in your understanding? Are you sitting in the chair where you can see everything? Or are you the fat kid in the corner sitting there with your underwear on and a drool bib, not knowing your ass from a hole in the ground? It's kind of a great place to end this. Are you the fat kid in your underwear, in a drool bib, in the corner, not knowing your ass from a hole in the ground? Damn it, don't be that kid.
I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.